Hi, my name is Patrick Reagan. Welcome to Security, where we discuss security with a focus on how it affects the computer and services resources that the computer connects to. In Part 1, Introduction to Security defines what is security. The rest of the slides is designed to get you thinking of the importance of security and to think about the scope of security. For those who are going to take the A+ exam, there are practice questions at the end of the video. If you have not already, subscribe to the Pat Has Your Back channel. Security is often in the news. Everyone is at risk of data breach or cyber attack, no matter how small or how large a company is. Even individuals are at risk. Security breaches are becoming more common. On the screen, you will see links showing some of the recent security breaches. If you look through your emails, you can probably see cyber attack attempts every day. Cybercrime will cost businesses billions of dollars each year. Millions of data records are exposed worldwide each quarter through data breaches. When looking at security, you need to look at the big picture. You need to determine what are you trying to protect. What does your organization need to do their business? What do you consider private, sensitive, or confidential? Think of the organization you work for in yourself. What happens if what the organization needs are not available, compromised, degraded, stolen, or taken down? How will it hurt you and/or your business? How can your organization or you recover? How quickly can your organization or you recover? Can your organization or you recover? What is important to you, your team, your department, your organization, or company? Security involves the protection of information systems and the information processed, stored, and transmitted by these systems from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction. Since complete security can never be fully achieved, the focus of security is more often the process instead of the goal. As security is increased, convenience is decreased. In addition, security costs money. Question: what is the most important part of the computer? Answer: data. Remember that you can always replace hardware if hardware fails. However, it is the data that represents many hours of work and may not be replaceable or rebuildable if you lose it. However, with security, you need to look at what if someone else accesses the data? Do you have privacy information for you, your employees, your clients, and your customers, including addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, credit card information, and medical information? Do you have proprietary or secret information, such as plans, designs, formulas, customer lists, and pricing sheets that would cause harm if they're released to the public or your competitor? What would you do if any of this information is no longer available, that you cannot do your job? Think about how you protect your home. You have locks for the doors, but you may also have cameras, motion detectors, door and window sensors, fences, and gates that may or may not be connected to a security monitoring company. Companies may have the same. In some cases, company may also hire security guards and use man traps and combine the doors with card readers, finger scanners, retina scanners, and keypads. Most computers are protected or should be protected as a minimum with a username and password to provide authentication. Authentication is the method to prove who you are. An anti-malware package should protect your machine from malware such as viruses and worms. However, more sensitive computers may have higher protection, including using multi-factor authentication to log in, such as using a finger scanner or facial recognition, using an authenticator program, entering the code that is sent to your cell phone via short message service or SMS. Your drives and files may be encrypted where they cannot be read without the correct code or key. Even your smartphone, which is a small portable computer, may have or need the same protection. Servers tend to be more powerful centralized computers that provide services such as shared files and printers, email, web pages, and database access. Since they hold the bulk of the services and data for your company, you must take extra precaution in protecting these servers and the data that is on the servers. Make sure that the servers are protected with firewall to limit intrusion. Servers will have access control lists that specify a list of groups and users and what they can access and what kind of access they have. For example, Windows Files uses NTFS permissions to lock down who can access the files. Networks allows computers to connect and communicate to each other and share information and resources. While there's a lot of benefits to networks, there's also lots of risk. When a compromised computer connects to the network, it has the potential to compromise anything on the network. Most of the computers are connected with through the internet, which opens up a large range of risks and dangers. Computers connect to the network through wired switches or wireless through a wireless hub. To connect networks together, you have routers. Routers get their name by routing packets between different networks. At home, you must likely connect to a wireless router or hub that also allows a connection to the internet. Today, many companies have moved their services and data to the cloud, which means that their services and data are being hosted by someone else and are connected through the internet. In addition, how many services and how much data do you host in the cloud? Think of using an email service such as Gmail or MSN or Hotmail, or a drive storage service such as OneDrive or Dropbox. Cloud services will have their own challenges since you don't have direct control of the resources that are hosting the services and data. Initially, switches and routers were just that, switches and routers. Today, switches and routers can also filter out traffic patterns and make more intelligent decisions when dealing with network traffic. They can also limit who can connect to the network. Firewalls were eventually introduced that are security devices that prevent or limit illegal access to private networks. Every company should have a firewall that separates the company network and the internet. How often do you think you use encryption? Many web-based applications use encryption when you connect to their website. While using HTTP:// sites are not encrypted, the HTTPS:// sites are encrypted. Encryption used on web servers prevent other people from seeing the packets between the user and the web server to keep your information private, including your name and your credit card information. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link. When discussing security, people are the weakest link. Security is implemented by people. Security is maintained by people. Misconfiguration can cause security vulnerabilities that can be exploited. If security becomes too cumbersome, users will look for ways to bypass security. Users can be tricked into installing malware, revealing username and passwords, or revealing private information. If you have an established email account, you can see many attempts of phishing attempts that try to trick you. Most people tend to be helpful, which social engineering can work well with. The reason that they do it is, it works well enough to make it profitable for the hacker. So how do you fix the weakest link? You establish policies and procedures to help direct people. You conduct regular awareness training. And remember, knowledge is power. Users, administrators, and end users have to be constantly reminded and trained on security. When dealing with security, don't make it too difficult for users for enhanced security. Users will rebel and try to find ways to work around it or not use it. Remember, you need to keep everything secure, but they also have a job to do. Security often costs money. You don't want to spend more money to protect something than what you're protected is actually worth. Security measures have to be cost effective. Technology can be awesome, but don't forget the people and what they need to do their job. Question: which of the following involve the protection of information systems and the information processed, stored, and transmitted by these systems from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction? Answer: security. Question: what is the most important part of the computer? Answer: data. Question: what is the weakest link when discussing security? Answer: people. For more information, visit these sites. In summary, everyone's at risk of data breach or cyber attack, no matter how small or how large a company is. Even individuals are at risk. Security breaches are becoming more common. When looking at security, you need to look at the big picture. You need to determine what you are trying to protect. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link. When discussing security, people are the weakest link. Thank you for watching this video. The next video will be Security, Part 2, Security Fundamentals. If you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the Pat Has Your Back channel. Thank you.